So I've had a problem with getting over these bridge jacks on this lift. Unfortunately, they're the 4,000 pounds ones, which I would not recommend for Corvettes because they stick up higher on the lift and get in the way. And I'm going to point out the problem I'm having here. The oil drain plug on the oil pan is maybe 5/8 of an inch above the lift, but in order to get it 5/8 of an inch above the lift, I had to jack the car up, and underneath the tires is a 2x4, which is about 1.5 inches. So in order for that to clear, with these tires anyways, I am getting tires that are like 1 inch taller, so that will give me a little room. But what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to adjust my coilover shocks to raise the ride height. So I'm going to have to jack up the car first because you've got to get the weight off of the springs. So I'm going to jack it up by the frame, and then I'll be able to make the adjustment. The adjustment is right here. Be back after I jack the car up. So there's the coil spring, coilover shock, and the way you adjust it, they give you 2 wrenches, and if you notice, they are different. The teeth are different. They somewhat line up, but not really. So this one, I believe, is for the top ring, and I'm going to be trying to raise that up. And I want to raise it probably, I'd have to say I have to go maybe 1 inch. So I'm going to leave the bottom ring, which is the one that keeps it in place once you get it tightened. I'll leave that where it is so that I can measure that distance and I'll know how much I've raised the car. You have to do this with the I'll try this other thing here. That one doesn't work there either. You have to do this with the weight of the car off. The springs up. You don't want to have to try to do this when you're raising, lifting the weight of the car. It's not a good way to do it. When I first pulled this on, I was short about 1/2 inch of clearance for the oil pan plug. So I'm going to raise it 1 inch for now and see what that gets me. And then hopefully, I won't be able to tell until I move the car after I put it down, because when you jack the car up, the bottoms of the wheels tuck under because of the suspension, and spring is moving. I'm about a ½ inch up. From where I started. And the spring has stopped moving. So I'm going to do this until I get an inch of difference between the retainer ring and the one that actually hits the spring, and then I'll repeat the same process on the other side. After I get it up, I'll tighten this retainer ring up against that. I'm a little low on battery power because I went to switch batteries, and the one I had in the charger was completely dead. Wouldn't even power the camera on. So as I said, I'm not going to video the whole thing. I'm going to shut it off now. I only had 43 minutes worth of video, and I don't know what all I have the back to do as well. So I'm not going to bother to video everything. That's the process. And I may, if I remember, turn it back on when I put the retainer nut up to the adjusting nut. So it's hard to get a ruler in there to measure it. So what I found is that my socket is about an inch. So I'm over 3/4 of an inch because I measured the handle of this wrench. And fit it in there, and it fit. So still got about an eighth to go, maybe a little over an eighth. Almost there. This isn't terribly hard to do in terms of turning it, but I would imagine at my age, by the time I get done with all 4 wheels, I'm going to be pretty tired. There you go, we'll call that an inch. Pretty tight fit in there. No play, in other words. So now we'll just wind up the retainer. By the way, they don't give you any instructions with these. These are QA1 shocks, both front and rear. I got the wrenches with the rear end kit. They didn't even give you wrenches with the front, which was a totally different kit. So we tried, when we put these on, we tried to make them equal length, so they should be pretty close. And as you might expect, the only way to really get them accurate is to measure the body height from the ground or something like that. Okay, that's one done. So I will go and just do the rest off camera, since it'd be pretty boring to watch me just sitting there turning the wrench and measuring. So I'll be back when that's done. Okay, the left side front is done. I'm going to move to the back. I'm sorry, that was the right side. I did the left side first. So there you're looking at the back shock. It's finished already. I moved it up an inch as well. But here is the adjustment on the shock. And I checked the back ones. The back ones were adjusted at 5, so I moved them back to 5 clicks. The front were a little bit harder to get to. That's why I'm showing you the back first. Okay, the backs were easy to get to. Front, not so much. I'm going to try to get the camera in there. That's the shock. It's already been adjusted. I think you can see the dowel right there. I can hardly see the screen on the camera, so if that's not it, maybe this won't get posted, but I think that's it. But I set those to 5 as well. I'm sure there's going to be some experimentation needed to get those where I want them, but it's not too bad with the lift. But that's how you adjust the ride height with coilover shocks. Now I have to go and put it down off the jacks and see if the jacks will clear it without any 2x4s under the tires. So the wheels are tucked under, so it's riding higher than it will after you move it and it settles down. But I think I'm going to be good for accomplishing what I had wanted to accomplish here today. And that is, let's see if I can get a camera shot of it. There is a good deal of clearance, over an inch, between that oil drain plug and the bridge jack. And that was going to be a real pain in the butt trying to move this on and off of the lift, because you'd have to be really conscious that you had the bridge jacks pulled all the way forward so that you didn't run into them. Now I suspect once I get the tires that I want and the wheels that I want, get them on here, that's going to raise it a little bit, so I'm going to have to lower it some, but I'll still make sure that I can clear that oil pan easily, because this is going to be where this car is stored between drives, because my wife's car goes underneath the lift, and when she's going at work and I want to drive this car, I just put the lift down and drive it off. As long as I'm home before she is, I drive it back on and raise it up, and we're good to go. So I feel like I finally accomplished a lot today. Thanks for watching.